College hoops, coast to coast. It is March. Yes, officially the March Madness moment that started this whole thing just happened tonight. And you see the minor in the background. I don't know if you guys know what that is, but that's a minor. He's got a pick. We got a special minor guest, a guy I used to work with for 3 years. And fortunately, he's willing to come on the show. Kevin Sweeney did a phenomenal article before he was with Sports Illustrated last year.
No, I was with Sports Illustrated. I was an intern.
Okay, you were the intern.
I was small time then.
He wrote you are big time now. Joe will talk about that, of course. But he wrote an article last year about the build of ACU. Now this coach, head coach Joe Golding, is at UTEP building again. He's a minor. He's like this guy with the pickaxe, getting to work. So we will bring Joe in and have some fun. Coach, what up?
What's up, fellas?
Not much, man. Appreciate you joining us, man.
Tell you what, man, you guys look way better than me, man. Must be nice, man, to have a microphone all day, man. Have the answers for everything, can talk hoop, man. You haven't lost a game. Sweeney hadn't lost a game ever, man. Not three. Sweeney ever lost a game, man?
Never. He never has. I've lost some games. I've lost some games plenty of times. Plenty of times.
Hey, Burton, there's only one person, man, that can get me to do this late, man, before Old Dominion. That's Sweeney, man. It's a good luck charm, man.
Trust me, I made sure he was here. I was like, if it's just me and Joe, I mean, we're just gonna tell jokes all day and laugh, and nothing's gonna get done, man. I got at least have some bait that I can say, hey, Sweeney's gonna be on, Coach.
He asks the tough questions, man. I get it.
All right, let's get this thing started. So I'll just ask the first question as a fun question. When you were coaching at Saxe High School, did you think that years later you'd be beating Texas in the NCAA tournament and the head coach for the Miners?
No, absolutely not. You know, I thought I was going to be a high school coach, and I don't know if I've shared that story with both of you, but, you know, it was a brand new high school, freshmen and sophomores. We were terrible. And actually that's when I first started learning how to build, you know, things a little bit. We're so bad, and you had to go in and recruit. And Garland Nichols was the best recruiter of anybody at South Garland. But, you know, tough district. And I left my second year, and we had just bought a house, just gotten married, and literally 6 months later left that job and went to work for you guys as a radio guy for Jim Sagona / ball coach, recruit, whatever, at Collin County, and, you know, started the path. But always wanted to be a college coach. I never got to play in the NCAA tournament, but always wanted to. From growing up, would watch it. You know, March Madness was the biggest thing, you know, for me every year, and being a high school player and then Division II player, never got the opportunity, and always wanted to, you know, be a part of it, and been very fortunate the last couple of years to be a part of it.
Yeah, so you basically are switched roles with me, Coach. Is that what you're saying? You were doing radio and had a headset on? And
we've come full life, man. That's a good point, man. I'll switch with you any day, man. Any day, man.
Oh, man. So we'll talk about UTEP in a second, but we got to go back a little bit and rewind. And ACU, I was obviously there with you during the D2 years, for those that don't know, and then the first year where we played the most brutal schedule in the country. So to go from that, not even a successful D2, to then a Division I that's winning championships consistently, going to tournament consistently, and then gets a tournament win. Like, I don't know if you went, that's your alma mater, so that place means something to you. I don't know if you envisioned that being that successful, but how did that all happen, man? What can you tell us about the secret sauce there?
It wasn't any secret sauce, man. I mean, you were a part of it, you know. I mean, it's brutal going through the transition, and for people that are a part of it, it's not fun. It's darn near impossible, and you know, we kind of took the model from Tim Miles, you know, after a couple of years, and just recruited high school kids and tried to build them through strength and development programs, keeping them together, building a culture, you know, hired a great strength coach in Brandon Decker, you know, to develop those guys behind the scenes. And then the whole key was keeping it together and kind of trusting the process and building it through steps. But, you know, there were times where I questioned myself. You know, I've been open on the record about that. You know, I questioned, could I really lead? Could I really coach? I was still learning. You know that. You were a part of it. It was the first time to be a head coach. I was trying to be other coaches that I had been. Now that I'm finally comfortable in my own skin of who I am as a coach, I think I'm way better now, obviously, than I was. I've hired good staff, good people around me for my weaknesses that are their strengths, and I, you know, play off my strengths more. And, you know, then obviously had really good players, man, and very, very fortunate. And the cool thing now is even at UTEP, we all still keep in touch. You know, we still have group texts, group threads, and even back to some of the Saxy kids, we've connected. And to me, that's the biggest thing, in coaching, me, man, it's relationships. Everything's relationships. It starts with that. The coaching is secondary, but we build, we really build lifelong relationships with these guys, man. And I believe in that, man. And I didn't do that early. You were with me, I didn't, man. I thought it was all X's and O's, winning and losing. And that's just kind of, how I was raised and the people I had been around. And obviously still learning today, man. A lot to learn. Look at me, man. I've lost 27 pounds and look like crap because Conference USA, man. You got, Grant McCaslin, Andy Kennedy, Eric Conkle, go down the line. Coach Jones, we're playing here at Old Dominion. I mean, these guys have been around. They're incredible coaches. They have incredible players, and this conference is exhausting. It's tough. I knew that going in, but man, it's a brutal league.
Yeah, it really is. I was able to experience it myself. So my last one before I pass to Kevin, your dad was a coach. You grew up a baller. You played multiple sports. How much did you know you want to be a coach, and how much does your dad's influence still kind of resonate with you?
Yeah, that's all I ever wanted to do, I honestly wasn't smart enough to do anything else. The times at Collin County with you, I failed the real estate agent test. Otherwise, I might not be in coaching, but thank God for that, man. Yeah, coaching was just, it's what we were, man. My granddad obviously was very successful, and the high school football stadium is named after him in Wichita Falls. And, my brother-in-law, is the head football coach now at TCU. It's been a crazy 12 months for us, we went to the state tournament, beat Texas. He had a great year at SMU and got the TCU job. And so it's been a lot of fun, for our family. And, my dad obviously coached. So it's just been in our blood. It's kind of what we want to do. And, my oldest son, Casey, now is, he thinks he's a coach. I come home every night. He tells me everything I did wrong and everything I need to do. And our guys would love playing for him, man. There's no bad shots. There's nothing, man. You don't have to play defense. But no, it's just kind of what I knew growing up and what I always wanted to be.
You said, kind of becoming who you were and becoming confident in who you were as a coach and not trying to be other guys and just, believing in yourself. How challenging is that when you're, in the beginning stages as a head coach, when you're faced with so much pressure, both internally and also externally, of like, there's pressure to win here. There's people who rely on me succeeding. How hard is it to do that? And how do you think you were able to get over that hump?
Yeah, it was really hard, Kevin, back then, because I really didn't know if it was going to work or not. I mean, I just had a dream and a vision, and we believed it, and we tried to work at it every day. But, there's no question there was doubt. Again, I doubted myself, and I think at times the administration at ACU honestly doubted me. Could I get it done? And my deal to them was, though, is ACU had never made a commitment in men's basketball. It was never going to work, if we didn't make a commitment. And I was very fortunate. Tommy Morris is a man that's become my mentor, and he's my granddad. I wasn't fortunate to really know both of my granddads. They died when I was early, and when I was early in my life. So Tommy Morris is a man that changed everything at Abilene Christian. Man, his dad was a former president at Abilene Christian, and he was involved and loved athletics. And I went to the country club one time. We were awful. Really, really bad. And he told me that it was embarrassing to go to games. He wouldn't want to go, and I basically came back to him and said, it's going to continue to be that way until we have some commitment, from donors, alumni, and from administration. And from that point, he jumped in and said, okay, I'll give you commitment and I'll round up some guys, but you better win, or we're going to find somebody else. And so, there was a group of guys, man, that came together that gave us behind the scenes what we needed to compete. And we didn't have the best budget, but it gave us enough to compete. From that point, again, just trusted the process.
I remember after you beat Texas in the NCAA tournament, you said the one-liner that, you guys were the worst team in Division I, and now you beat Texas.
Yeah.
When you think back to that team, how special is it to think back to where you guys were at that point, to what you were able to build at ACU and beat a team like Texas, especially in that state, right? I mean, at Abilene to beat Texas. I mean, it's a Cinderella story beyond all Cinderella story.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, that's the truth. We were one of the,
I was there.
Burton experiment. It was. I remember going to the airport in Iowa that one time, and that lady said, "Hey, Coach, could you have a quick second?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." She was in her 70s, 80s, and she said, "Did you have a quick second?" I said, "Yes, ma'am." And she said, "I was at the game last night." And I said, "Oh, okay." And they beat us by like 60, and she said, "I just want you to know that I'm going to be praying for you guys all year." And I said, "Thank you, ma'am. I'm going to need it."
We need it.
That's how bad it was, But my president got on me last year, Kevin, when we won. He wasn't real happy with me saying, little old Abilene Christian beating the University of Texas. But that's the reality, and that's a fact. We came from nothing out there, man. Absolutely nothing. We made the NCAA tournament. We beat Kentucky. When Kentucky beat us. But the first time we were there for the steak, the lobster, the police escorts, but we were getting blitzed. We had no chance, man. It was just a celebration, to completely different 2 years later when we played Texas. We celebrated. It was different, man. That in that room, man. Our guys believed they could win. I knew we had a chance to win that game, and nothing against Texas and Coach Smart. They'd had a great season, a great year. It was just more our group, We'd been there once already. We believed. It was special, man. And to Abilene Christian, man, 4,000 students to go beat the University of Texas, man, on national television was an incredible moment that I'll remember for the rest of my life. And we'll forever be bonded, that group. I hope that group is celebrated. There'll be some of them that go in the Hall of Fame. And it wasn't just that group. It was the groups that led up to that, too, that will be celebrated, that will be in the Hall of Fame. It was a special, special group with special guys. That will be bond, for the rest of our lives, man. I would think every 5 years or 10 years, they'll have different things at ACU. I saw something the other day, 53, 52 is all over campus, it's everywhere you go, and it should be. And ACU should never play the University of Texas again in case it's in the NCAA tournament, So Coach Beard's got zero chance of getting Tanner. Tanner's crazy if he goes and plays. So we're forever will be 1-0 against Texas, there. So, but yeah, cool deal. I haven't been back. That's been the hardest part, I left and, we're building a brand new, $50 million. They are building a brand new $50 million arena, practice facility. The commitment's finally there now, and I'll never get to see it. And again, I haven't been back one time. I've been so busy here at UTEP, but there'll be a time and place, when we all get back and we can celebrate it.
And just quickly, I know you mentioned Coach Tanner, who was there with you kind of the whole way and built it. How cool is it for you to see your coaching tree expand and the success he's having there kind of continuing in the way you guys built it?
Yeah, man, I'm so proud of him. He's my best friend. We've been through so much together. I've always thought he's one of the best coaches in the country. There's a lot of assistants out there. I played a good one the other night, Grant McCaskey, at Ross Hodge. There's a bunch of coaches, assistant coaches out there that are a big part of why us head coaches are successful. And, when they get the opportunity and then they succeed, a lot of people wonder why I didn't take a lot of the guys with me from Abilene Christian. That's not what Abilene Christian was about. That was a culture, that team, and Brett Tanner deserved those kids to stay there. And continue on. It wasn't. That's not what we believed is taking place. That's not what that was about. And it allowed him to have some success this year and show that the great coach that we all knew he was. And we talk, man. We still talk. He was. He was Mike Krzyzewski the first couple months of the season. He had the answers for everything. He was winning all ththose games and didn't want to talk to me and told me everything that I did wrong and everything he's doing right. But come January, they lost a few games, went on, that losing streak. And then, all of a sudden my phone picked up a little, and started calling me. But in all seriousness, man, I'm so proud of him. I'm proud of ACU. And I'm proud of all those guys. Solomon Bozeman's now at Arkansas Pine Bluff doing a great job. Burton's here doing this. Patrice Days is being Patrice Days at East Tennessee State. Ted Krass just got beat in the regional final on a game to go to Hutch on a tough last-second shot. So yeah, man, I'm proud of all those guys that helped us build it. We all keep in touch, man. It's part of the family, that we built there and we support, and we're proud of everybody.
So yeah. Go ahead, B.
I'm going to take it on a somewhat lighter note. You had your social media savvy and media savvy is up there in the record books. Obviously, you called out Beard when he got his job.
I do one about every 2 months, man.
That's all it takes. and you go viral every time. You dance in the locker room. I think that had over 7
And now
million
Tanner's
views.
still dancing, man. Like every game, like Tanner, come on, man. Like
You
not every
started
game, man. You know?
You started it.
I know, man. I know.
What is it like seeing your other friends? Because you have more than just Tanner. Obviously, your best friend, Coach Beard, coached you. You got guys like Steve Lutz, who's now the head coach at Corpus.
Yeah.
Greg Young's the head coach at UT and all these guys that you kind of came up with, but you were in the same age bracket as those guys. I'm a little bit younger.
Yeah.
But what is it like seeing everybody be head coaches now?
I'm proud of everybody, man. I mean, I didn't mention Lou Gadina, man. Good buddy of mine, doing a great job at Wichita State. Steve Lutz had a heck of a year this year. Mark Schlesinger did a great job at New Orleans. My boy Cliff Carroll, the Bear, Mary Hardin Baylor, man. They're in the Sweet 16, man. Von Rosenberg, Cinco Boone. They made the D2 tournament, the regional tournament that was announced the other day. I'm going to leave some people out now. You're going to get me in trouble, but they're having success, and we've come a long way from the river, man. With a dream and a vision, a bunch of us, and just wanting an opportunity and working our way up, and grinding every day like all of us, and everybody out there. It's a hard business. It's tough. There's ups and downs, and there's buddies in ours that don't have success that we kind of continue to build each other up and have each other's back, and it's cool, man. It's really neat. Coach Beard obviously is the leader of that group, and has been. He still answers the phone if you call him, and still has suggestions and answers, and he doesn't want to listen for any, on his end, but on our end, he's got plenty, man. But Chris Ogden's there with him now, doing a great job. I texted with Bob Marlin last night. What a run that those guys made. Brian Berg, George. So anyway, it's just it's a fun group, man, of guys that we keep in touch. We share ideas, and we're growing. We're young. I don't think I'm young. I'm 46. They say that's young in this business, but when you look on TV now, these young guys, man, they got a lot more energy and pop, man. I'm running out of Bang and Red Bull, man. So I'm gonna do something else. Keep up.
So Kevin gave you guys a shout out earlier in the year for the job you're doing, and the defensive numbers, KenPom wise, are similar to Abilene. So I'll pass it to Kevin and let him kind of ask a little bit about how you've been able to recreate that.
Yeah, it just kind of felt like in the last 6-8 weeks or so, you guys have started to turn a corner on that end of the floor, and I'm just curious, what has gone into that, and was there a moment where you felt like, okay, we're finally starting to guard the way I like to guard, or is there still a lot more room to grow? Like, where does it stand right now defensively?
Yeah. First of all, we had everybody full, man. I was the defensive guy at Abilene Christian. Tanner was offense, man. But I was trying to get him the job at Abilene Christian, and so we were so good on defense that I started telling everybody that he was the defensive coach so he could get the job. So that now we're on the record. The truth
story. We got it out.
So
I love it.
Tanner is the offensive guru, man. But no, in all seriousness, Kevin, man, that's the hard thing to do was like, can we implement that here, at UTEP with a roster that we really didn't recruit, that we inherited. And I was just very honest with them from day one and said, we're going to guard, and defend. And if you don't want to guard and defend, pop in some ACU tape on Synergy to those guys, let them watch it. And if you don't want to defend, then you can go somewhere else. That's fine. We support that, we'll help you get somewhere else. But if you come here, you're going to play hard on the defensive end. We're going to give you some freedom offensively. But on the defensive end, there's a way we're going to do things. And the hardest thing for this year's team has just been consistency in that, and getting them to do it and then building it. We went through so much adversity early. We really haven't had our whole team together until this last week. We brought Keontae back for, I think, the last, 2 games or 3 games that he's been with us. So we haven't had our whole team all year. We haven't probably played as many guys, depth-wise that you have to run guys in and out of that. There's been at times this year that we've gotten to 10 guys, which has really helped us. But, we're getting it there. We're building it, and our guys, I think there's been a couple big wins, throughout the year, especially on the road that we got. The guys started believing a little bit more into it and realizing it works, and bought into it a little bit more. But, I'm excited about where our guys are. I mean, Sule Boom's diving on the floor, taking charges. JB's guarding. Obviously Keontae guards, Titus and those guys have. But, we've had a lot of growth from those guys, man, on being two-way players and defending it. And the city of El Paso embraces that, man. That's what Coach Haskins was all about that. Coach Gillespie, Doc Sadler, Coach Barbie, those guys, they all were defensive-minded guys, and guys played hard when they went between the lines, and they also played for each other. They played as a team, and that's what El Paso is used to, that's what they want, and I think our team has really come and formed that, here, especially in the last month and a half, and it's been really embraced by the community. It's been unbelievable to watch our crowds grow and at home, and it's been really neat.
How much did
Yeah,
you go, B? You're good.
Go ahead. Well, I was just going to say, because I'm tied to you in two ways. I work for you at ABCU, but I also worked at UTEP and got to coach some of those guys and be a part of recruiting some of those guys like Sule and Titus. So it's been amazing to see Sule Boom play defense. I'll say that first. And take a charge. I didn't think that was in him at all. But I think it's been cool to see how the fans have rallied behind the style of play. I was going to ask, what is it about it, Coach? And obviously I was there. I saw it firsthand, the belief that you're able to get guys collectively, and even talking to guys in the league. We've had other guys on the show. Obviously, I have relationships with some guys. They just said the belief of that UTEP team. Like, to be honest, even North Texas said it going into playing you guys. Like, this game on our schedule that's going to be really hard because they're just believing so much. He has those guys playing so hard. What is it that you're able to do to get those guys to do that?
Yeah, I think, by the way, Sule Boom took the charge against Rice, man, with 30 seconds left to win the game.
I watched it with my own eyes.
That's right, man. I think it's just relationships, Burton, man. It's spending time with these guys, man. It's building relationships, talking about more than basketball, man. Letting these guys know you truly care about them, man, and what, and then give feedback, man. Watching tape, feedback, and being honest with each other, being truth tellers. I mean, good players, great players, they want to be coached, man. I mean, that's a false narrative out there that kids don't want to be coached, man. Kids they want to be coached, but you got to build a relationship with these guys, and they got to know you have their back, and what you're doing works, some credibility in it. And that was the hardest part, is like at Abilene Christian, we had credibility, it worked and nobody questioned that. Any type of recruit or somebody came in that locker room, they knew this is what we did at AC, but that didn't necessarily just translate to UTEP, like I was living in a fantasy world, thought I showed up in El Paso, they were just going to guard like ACU and do like ACU, and the culture was going to be like ACU. And that was a fantasy world, man. It has been day one grind. And when I say that in a good way, man, building relationships with these guys, spending time. I remember our first team dinner, nobody talked, and they were sitting in these groups of like 2 or 3, all over the place, and nobody said a word. It was so different from where I had been through and what I was about and what I wanted to have at UTEP. We went on a road trip. We went on that brutal stretch a couple weeks ago. We played La Tech, Southern Miss, and Middle on the road. And we got to Southern Miss, I think it was Southern Miss, and we were eating in the hotel in the back catered meal. And after our guys had left, they walked out. The lady came by, and it was just our coaches there and staff. And she said, "Hey, Coach, can I say something to you real quick?" And I said, "Yeah, sure." And she said, "I just want you to know we have teams that stay in here all year long. And that team right there, I've never seen a team like it, man. The relationships they have, the fun that they were having, just the energy that was in that room." She said it was unbelievable. She said, "I've never seen anything like it." And to me, I don't care what we do. From that point on, the rest of the year, to me, we built it, man. We built the culture. We built we built what I wanted at UTEP, and that's what's important. And that wins, that translates on the floor. And so, the problem is, as we all know, it's the motto at ACU is tricky to do now. Just being completely transparent because of the port. We're living in a different world now with the portal and everything else. So, and I'm not at ACU, I'm at UTEP. So, it's going to be constant. That's a challenge, I think, for us as head coaches now. All of us, moving forward, is you have to embrace the portal, number one. But number two, there's going to be years where you're going to have to work your butt off every year building new relationships. You can't get tired of doing that because that's just what our jobs have come to. It's not just teaching offense and defense. And we're going to have to put in a brand new defense next year because we might have a brand new, I don't know what it's going to look like. Who knows? But you get my point. It's just every year you're going to have to do that. And so it's tough. It's exhausting. There's times you don't want to do it. But you have to, I mean, great example for the North Texas game. We didn't necessarily, in my opinion, play our best game against Rice. Credit to Rice. They're very well coached. They got great players, and it was a really good game, but I just didn't think I thought we were running out of gas, and I just didn't think we were together enough. So we practiced for about an hour on Friday, and then I took them up to a pool and a whirlpool on top of one of those mountains there in El Paso, Burton, and let them hang out a little bit, man, you know. And I said, hey, man, this journey hasn't been fun. It's been hard. It's been tough. We've gone through a bunch of crap together. But looky here, man, this is the top of the mountain, man. This is what it looks like at the top, man. This is what the rich people live, man. This is when you go through all that stuff, man. And by the way, it wasn't my house, man. I'm not that way. But when you're up there, this is the reward, you know, and this is what we're playing for. And this is why you guys went through all that stuff. And it was a great moment, man. We spent an hour and a half together, and that was more important than practice, to be honest with you. You know, it was. Right. And I could tell Saturday morning when we got up and had shoot around before the North Texas game that we were ready to go, you know. So, again, it's just constantly figuring that out and navigating it and building the culture day by day.
How much of a confidence booster was that North Texas win heading into March, especially, you know, after, like you said, kind of getting guys back and feeling like you're close to full strength and things like that? How much did that win mean? Yeah,
it was huge because I think they're one of the best teams in college basketball. You know, I think they deserve an NCAA tournament bid regardless of what happens in Frisco. I do. I think there's a couple of teams in our league. You know, I think UAB is right up there in that conversation as well. I think La Tech's had a great year. Middle Tennessee and what Nick's done is unbelievable. You know, this league is brutal, man. People don't understand the travel, the coaches, the players in this league, man. It's unbelievable, man. And for it to be a one-bid league is crazy, you know. But I know that's the world that we live in. You know, sometimes we're labeled as that, but North Texas is really, really good. I don't think that win is necessarily going to propel. I'm telling you right now, we have a horrible matchup against Old Dominion, man. They're playing as good as anybody in the country right now. I think they've won 3 out of their last 4. They beat Middle Tennessee on Saturday. You know, you got both teams. We beat our division winner, and they beat their division winner. You know, going to play each other on Wednesday, and they're so well coached, and they're tough. They're physical. And it was a street fight when we played them down there at their place. You know, I think they shot 47 free throws and we shot like 35, you know, so we might not be out of Frisco, out of that arena till like midnight, you know, Wednesday, but you know, like it's brutal. But I do think, Kevin, what we hadn't had that big home win. We lost to New Mexico State at the buzzer. We led Bradley the whole time and lost, you know. UAB, we led back and forth game, and then UAB hits the shot with 40 seconds to take the lead and win the game. So it was our first real big home win in the city of El Paso with a great crowd. The dawn was loud, and people, you know, they came on the floor, they on the way out, and then the whole day, the whole community embraced that win, you know, like it was kind of our stamp, you know, that like what we're doing is, you know, it's working. We're bringing this program back, you know, it's coming back. And, you know, and I've said this before, man, and I'll say it again on you guys' deal. Like, Coach Terry did not leave this thing broken, man. There was a great culture here. There was really, really good players. Coach Terry had a very difficult job last year with COVID. El Paso got hit really, really hard, and it affected him and his team. And so, you know, I was very fortunate in that. You know, sometimes you take over things and it's probably way worse off than what I mean, Coach Terry had this thing, and we're winning with Coach Terry's players, you know. And so we still keep in touch. I thank him all the time for being to me, and Sule and Titus and Christian Agnew and you know, those guys, Keontae Kennedy, because that's a big reason for our success. But, you know, we've done a lot of things, Kevin, this year that haven't been done at UTEP in a long time. And that's exciting times. But to get that first win, you know, big win at home, just I think validated a lot of stuff for us.
It's almost funny story time. So you got to give two for us. And Kevin says you have to tell one about me.
I mean, if I'm gonna go on the program, and I'm with someone who worked with Brian Burton, I need some good Brian Burton.
The problem is, Sweeney, a lot of these stories, man, he's married now with 3 kids, man. You know, like we can't get all these stories. I mean, I hired Brian Burton. Brian Burton helped me at Collin County. I basically worked for Brian Burton. Then it got flipped. And Brian and I worked together at Abilene Christian. And then I'd send him to Wichita Falls to meet his wife. And then I'd tell him to stick with radio and not go be a coach anymore, you know. So Brian knows me. I mean, Brian ought to be your agent, man. Huh?
Probably should. You probably should.
It should be your There's a lot of good stories, man. But I tell you what, man, where Brian was so good is you've been around him, Kevin. I'll say this about Brian. He's so energetic. He's so positive. He's very passionate. And those times at ACU were the hardest times of my life. I was miserable, man. And Brian would show up every day with a positive attitude, with energy. It was infectious to everybody. and got us through a lot of times where I didn't think we were ever going to get through, and I think BB knows that, man. I mean, I was miserable. I was in a bad spot, man. I was, I love that school. I love that program, and we just couldn't figure it out, and a lot of it was we were playing 10 high majors, with the worst team in the country and making money for the university. It was just tough, man. And Brian's passion, his faith, people still talk about him at Abilene Christian all the time. I know he's got good friends there, but he made an imprint, there. And it was special because that's really where it all started for us, was right there in those tough times. And obviously now, 10 years later, it looks a lot different. We're in different places, and we're all doing different things in our career, but that's where the whole thing really, really started. And Brian was on the ground level of that. So obviously very appreciative of him. And Kevin, I'm it took like 5 years. Nobody would write an article on ACU, man. Even Jeff Goodman, man. Couldn't get Goodman. Goodman wouldn't do anything, man. Like it took Kevin Sweeney, man, last year to believe a little bit, man. And then when you wrote the article, we beat Texas, and then you became a full-time employee instead of an intern.
Just like that.
It was all that.
This guy knows what he's talking about.
Sweeney does have some magic, Coach. He goes to games. It's like there are always court storms. He writes.
Hey, Burton, I would not be doing this right now if it wasn't for Sweeney, man. And I know Sweeney. He's March Magic, man.
He's got the magic. There's no doubt.
He does, man. He does, man. Look at him. He's clean shaven too, man. Haircut, man.
We're ready to go. I mean, I don't know if I get a full night's sleep in the next month. So we got to clean it up now, and then the next month will be ridiculous. So we'll see what we get.
No, serious, man. I appreciate you guys, man. You guys have done a great job. It's fun to see you guys grow, man, and what you guys are doing. And, I know both of you got your different side deals you got going too with TV and your sports. It's really cool, man. It's neat to see both of you. And we keep up with you sometimes, man. We'll get busy watching tape and different. In fact, I got to go back right now and start watching Old Dominion. I don't know if you guys know Trice or Kaiser or all these guys, man. They got, these dudes are, It's like every night, man. You go from Thomas Bell to Tyler Perry. Now you go to, Kaiser to Trice. It's every night in Conference USA, man. It's brutal. It's brutal.
What's one last thing, Coach, you want people to know about the new UTEP way that you're doing it? I know you said a lot about it, but what's something you want people to know before you leave?
I'm just a very appreciative, Brian, of the whole community, man. When you move your family, I'd been in Abilene a long time, man. It was hard for me to leave that place, man. Really, really, really hard. That was a tough decision. Some people might think that's an easy move. That was not, man. That was tough, hard, a lot of tears, and move both my boys and my wife. And that community has embraced me from day one, man. They have, man. They've embraced me. They've embraced our family. They've embraced our team, our staff. And it's been incredible, man. And then just see our crowds grow and to see them get behind us. It's a pretty incredible thing happening out there, man. We're just getting started. But I think the future is obviously extremely bright, of where we can get those things. I mean, we're getting 7 or 8 in there. Wait till we get 10, 11 or 12 in there, man, and it's coming. It's going to happen, man. And it's I'm very appreciative to that. And then I've said this about our team, man. I'm very appreciative of these guys. They did not have to embrace me like they did. That doesn't happen in year ones at a lot of places, man. It's tough, and, it's been tough for me. I haven't been through this, year one stuff. Yeah. I was talking to to Ross the other night at North Texas game, a little bit about it. It's just, it's hard, man. It's way harder than what I thought. So I'm just very appreciative to our players, for believing in us and our staff. Through some tough times early and trusting the process and sticking with it. And, it's been very rewarding, different than last year, but I'm telling you, man, very, very rewarding of what we've been able to do with this team and what these guys have been able to accomplish, man. It's been really cool this year to see that.
No doubt. Well said. So last thing is you mentioned Kaysen. You got to tell a Chase story before we go. So those that don't know, your youngest son, Chase, he's the most like Joseph of anyone in your family. So you got to tell a quick story.
I got a lot of long nights ahead with Chase, man. It's coming, man. And he's already the mayor of El Paso, man. He's running things, man. He's got his posse, his little bicycle posse. They run it down there at our deal. But let me tell you where I'm proud of Chase, man. Chase had a big game the other night.
How old is Chase now, Coach?
6th grader, man. Wait, you got to see him. He's huge, man. Muscled up, yeah. And he's a big-time baseball player, really good baseball player. And but he's loves basketball. It's his favorite sport. So they're playing an 8th grade team, a bunch of bigger kids, than them. And I think that team had beat them by like double digits a couple of weeks ago. And so when I got there, it was the third quarter. I had missed because Sule wouldn't get to the hole, or JB wouldn't guard the ball, or Titus wouldn't box out. So practice ran late, and I finally get to the game, the third quarter, and he's bleeding. His chin's bleeding. He's got blood. I'm like, Amanda, what happened? She's like, well, he got elbowed and popped, on his chin. And so I'm like, okay. Well, then, like, literally, man, 2 minutes later, there's a loose. Well, first of all, he turned it over, man. He can't dribble, and he takes it to half court. They trap him, and so he loses the ball. It goes on the floor, and he dives on the floor, man. I mean, head first, dives in there, gets the ball. He's, going around. Well, here comes one of their guys. He comes from out of nowhere, their biggest kid, and just jumps on the pile and elbows him, right in the head. Ouch. So long story short, man, they take him back to the locker room. My boy's got a concussion, man. He gets back there, man, and he's bleeding from the chin. And then he's like, Dad, my legs are heavy, and I got to, and I'm like, man, you got a concussion, man. Like, of course, Amanda's freaking out, things. So long story short, man, we take him to the hospital to make sure everything's okay, in all seriousness, and make sure his head's fine. And it was. Everything was great. And they had to stitch him up on his chin, and he looks right at me, about an hour into the hospital stay. He's like, Dad. I'm like, yeah, buddy. He's like, did you like that I dove on the floor for a loose ball? I said, I loved it, man. I loved it, man. He said, but if my head's going to hurt like this, I'm not doing it again, man. I said, well, you don't have to do it again, but don't tell our team, man. We're going to keep that away from our guys, man. But that's Chase, man. Jumped on the floor, 6th grade, man. And Kaysen, to his credit, man, he took some charges this year at Coronado, man. He took a couple charges and took them in the test. So they're learning, man. They're learning it's more than the Sule does this Tweety Bird deal when he makes a 3 this year. So Sule actually came to my game with me to watch Kaysen play one game. Sule came, and Kaysen hit a big 3 and did the Tweety Bird. Boy, I came out of the stand and said, no, sir. Sule can do the Tweety Bird, but you're a freshman. You're not doing this.
You're not on Tweety Bird level.
No, you got to average 19 a game and take charges, man. Conference USA. Yeah, that will afford to do the Tweety Bird,
he is leading Conference USA. That's pretty impressive, Coach.
Yeah, he's had a great year, man. Really proud of him. And, JB too, man, the growth of JB and his leadership. Just so proud of both those guys.
Yeah, so much, man. Thanks so much for coming, Coach. Best of luck in Frisco. And we know you're going to build something special out there, man. We appreciate you taking the time.
Appreciate it, man. Good to see you guys.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, man.
All right. Another awesome one. One of the best ever to do this thing, man. I'm obviously super biased, but I'll let Kevin have the floor. Do what Kevin does.
If the guy wanted a media career, he would steal all the jobs. I mean, or if he wants a stand-up comedy special, like whatever he wants, man. He's just crazy, man. He's hilarious. But in all seriousness, I mean, a ball coach is ball coach, but as good of a ball coach as there is in the country in terms of the job he does, getting guys to buy in and understanding what it takes to build programs, and obviously had to build, took on a monster challenge at ACU and had the success he did. And I have no doubt that, he'll have that similar success at UTEP. And it's just a matter of time. And they've already had obviously some big wins this year, including, this weekend against North Texas, and see if they've got some March magic in them this coming weekend in Frisco. It should be fun, but they've proven they can be with any team in the conference. So you never know.
Yeah, I love it. I love that. It's just a great fit. It's funny because our paths have just always been intertwined for whatever reason. But to see what he did at ACU when I was a part of it on the ground level, and never in a million years did anybody think that could be done. And then to go to a place like UTEP where I also the same guys like Sule Boom and Titus, to see what he's done with those guys. And that place is the type of place that will really embrace him. So perfect fit. Don't know how March will go this March, but he is a guy in March that you'll consistently see doing great things. So the North Texas win was already in March. I don't know if that's the end of his March magic, but to be the team that in North Texas, who's won 15 in a row, to be the team that actually could beat them on your home floor when they're playing their best ball is it's impressive in itself. Like you said, it is a signature win to be able to say what we're building here does work. It is worth it. So stay tuned for more, and we'll all be stay tuned in March. And for Kevin and his great haircut, we are out.